Okay, this lesson is using the distributive law to this time expand binomial products, and what you'll see here is a really good example of that. We've tried working with things like 2 outside of x plus 3, where we've got one term outside of our brackets. This time we're actually working with the term outside the brackets is another bracket. Right, now that sounds a little bit nuts, but what we have to do is remember the same thing that we did over here. Everything outside the brackets gets multiplied by everything on the inside of the brackets. This time we just have 2 terms outside of them. So we have to actually multiply everything out here by everything in there. We're just going to have more terms this time. So let's start, and I'll show you, this is what I call the crab claw method. And you can see lots of different methods to doing this, but this is the way I do it. The first term multiplies by the first term, I'm using my dodgy pen, sorry. First term multiplies by the first term in the bracket, and then the first term multiplies the second term in the bracket. Then we come back, and what we do is the second term multiplies by the first term, and the second term multiplies by the second term. And you can see it kind of looks like a little bit of a pinchy crab claw if you do it like this. So that's how I like to remember it. Okay, so first one's up first. We're going to actually have 4 sets of brackets this time because we're doing 4 different sums. Okay, so the first one, we're going to have A times A, and then A times 3, and then we start on our second term, and we will have 2 times A and 2 times 3. Right, there are 4. So let's simplify this. A times A gives us A squared plus A times 3, we always put the coefficient first, or 3A, plus 2 times A, which is 2A, plus 2 times 3, which is 6. Alright, we can actually take it one step further, because if you have a look really closely, we can see some like terms. So let's simplify it down one more round. So our A squared, even though it's got an A, it's actually an A squared. We can't have it work with these ones. So A squared just carries on down, but this time we can say 3A plus 2A will actually give us 5A, and then we have 6 hanging around at the end. So that's as far as we can go, expanding these brackets and then simplifying it down. Let's have another go this time, but this time with this expression here. Now this one's a bit strange because it's got a squared at the top, and I said at the beginning of the video that we're going to be doing things where bracket and then, so it's double brackets. We don't have a double bracket here, but what we do have is a square. We saw up here, if something multiplies by itself, so by the same thing, it turns out into a square. So what we're saying here is it is this whole bracket multiplied by this whole bracket again. So what that looks like is this, x plus 3 times x plus 3. So we can now expand it out in the same way we did with up here with our crab claws. We're going to do it again. So we're going to have our first top claw and our bottom claw. And there we go. And we know we're going to have 4 sets of brackets for our terms. And then we're going to keep going. So let's go x times x, and then x times 3 plus 3 times x and 3 times 3. Alright, x times x gives us x squared. X times 3 gives us 3x. 3 times x again gives us 3x. And 3 times 3 gives us 9. So once again we look and we say, what can we simplify? And we've got a 3x term and a 3x term here. Remembering this is an x squared term, so not the same thing. Alright, so we have to bring this one straight down. X squared plus 3x plus 3x gives us 6x, and then our 9 hangs out on the end. So I use that crab claw method, okay, every single time in order to expand out my double brackets.